by Gillette, the best a man can get.
We are now joined by Fox NFL analyst David Deal, who started 146 games, blocking 1 Eli Manning, including both Super Bowl wins. David, nice to see you. Thanks for being with us.
It's always great to be here. You know that. You, David. Warm start to Friday, December 1st. My daughter's all pumped up. She turns 11 at the end of the month. So
nice.
We've had Christmas music going for the last
What's
week.
the actual date?
December 27th.
December 27th.
Addison will be 11 years old.
Happy early
Crazy
birthday,
how fast
Madison.
it goes.
That's great. All right, well, it's been kind of a busy week as far as the Giants are concerned. Let's get right to it. The Geno Smith era with Big Blue starts this Sunday in Oakland as the Giants face the Raiders. Eli Manning will sit the bench for the first time since 2004. David, when the news came out, you tweeted a very impassioned quote, "I'm absolutely speechless. I've watched every game and have sat through this rough Giants season. And this is what you do to a man who has led this team for 210 straight games." It's been a couple of days now. It's odd for me reading your tweet. I hope I did it justice.
Yes.
Tell me where your head is at right now.
I mean, to think that this is going to save the season, no. This is an attempt to save jobs is what this is. And when you think about John Mara coming out and saying, number one, like he has, they made a mistake in the way that they handled it. He addressed it that way. He said that he should have been in the building when all this took place. And I trust John Mara. I have faith in him. And I know in the 93 years of the New York Giants and the 16 I've been involved with them, they don't make the players' decisions. That's the coach's job. The coach is the one that makes the decisions on who plays, who's going to start, who's going to be in that position. And this is a conversation that was started weeks ago. And now this comes to poor game planning and poor execution. And that's on the general manager and the head coach. Because when you had this discussion weeks ago with John Mara that this might possibly happen, the future of the organization, if you're looking at it, is Davis Webb. It's not Geno Smith. We've seen Geno Smith here in New York. We've seen him during the preseason. And to say a quarterback who has the worst QBR rating out of any quarterback that started 30 games since 13 is the future of your organization, it's completely inaccurate, and it is false. You know who's number 2 and 3? Blake Bortles and Brian Hoyer. That's who you're comparing them to right now. So you have that going on. And then if it is Davis Webb, why didn't you prepare him 4 weeks earlier? Why didn't you have him going into practice to do things? Why didn't you start getting him activated for games? Because this week we're still hearing he might not even be active in Oakland. So if that's the case and the future isn't ready, you cannot make this move, and you can't make it the way that they did.
Excuse me.
Let me ask you a question. I advocated around a month ago, that they fire Ben McAdoo. They came out after the bye. They got embarrassed by the Rams.
I was here. I remember, yeah.
And then when I said the game against San Francisco, McAdoo, if such a thing exists, is coaching for his job.
Yeah.
They don't fire him after that game. John Mara comes out and says, we're going to evaluate everything after the season. That was sticking with a very Giants MO. We're not going to make hasty decisions. No. We're not going to give a guy less than 2 years. We're not going to fire during the season. In your opinion, in trying to keep to the Giants' ethos of not firing Ben McAdoo, is that what then led to them betraying a much larger part of their ethos in benching Eli Manning? Had they fired Ben McAdoo, and you said it's about saving jobs.
Yeah.
Is the interim coach benching Eli Manning? Are we having this? No one, if they fire Ben McAdoo, no one is sitting here saying that is an outrage for what Ben McAdoo's done for this. So if they had done that, do they do this?
No, I don't think that they do. And the reason why I say that they don't do that is because at this point, he still gives you the best opportunity to win football games, which was what they talked about overall, is that to win football games and to evaluate the coaches and players at the end of this season. So to have this happen and to sit here and think that this is justifiable.
Yeah, and to think that whatever happens to Ben McAdoo and the treatment of Eli Manning, that they're in the same stratosphere.
Yeah.
Like, who the heck made them in the same category? He's been the Giants coach for a season and a half. How has he been? He has been very average. Now, you have been one that criticized Eli in his play. To me, Eli's resume, it stands alone. And if you're going to disrespect that, then you're getting away from how you're doing things as an organization. And I'll stand behind the fact not only a coach says he will never lie to you, but I stand behind the fact, how did you leave the New York Giants?
Yeah.
Huh? How did you leave them?
On my own terms and in a happy and smiling way without a single regret.
I talked to Michael Strahan last night, how he left. And all the other Giants.
Yep.
So that's one of my biggest problems is you have a system, you have a way of doing business. And now you have Eli Manning. What has Eli Manning done to deserve treatment that would be different than those other players? That's my biggest concern, and that's what made me upset.
And I know that people are like, well, Eli Manning hasn't played well this season. Nobody says he has. He'll tell you he hasn't played well. But at the same time, is it his fault that he doesn't have a fixed offensive line? That there is absolutely no running game and they're one-dimensional? That they have no receiver on the field right now with Sterling Shepard out? That is a starter in the NFL? And when you think about all this just piling up, and for Coach McAdoo said, you know, I've been around before, you got to take emotions out. We're talking about when you were a quarterback coach, when you were going from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. That is a drastic difference. And saying, oh, we're going to take emotions out of this. I've been around, and we're going from Eli Manning to Geno Smith. You're talking about a quarterback, Eli Manning, 8 postseason wins, tied Steve Young, 106 completions in 11 postseason, most in NFL history, 5 game-winning drives in the postseason, tied with Montana, 1 more than Bradshaw, 4 fourth-quarter playoff comebacks, tied with John Elway, 50K passing yards. Only 7 people in the NFL have ever done that. And one of 5 players in history out of a QB to have 300-plus touchdowns and 2 Super Bowl wins. The only other ones to do that, Brady, Peyton, Big Ben, and Elway. And you're going to change from that to Geno Smith and say that you're looking at the future to win games?
I want to ask you one more question, because I think for Eli, this is just as painful no matter who's replacing him.
Yes.
Whether it's Geno or Davis Webb. So for Eli, the streak's broken all the same, and the pain is all the same.
Yes.
It's more painful for Geno.
Oh, okay, so I'm wrong about that.
And he's doing his job, and you can't say anything about Geno.
No.
Next man up, he's getting his number called, he's going in. That's the profession.
But hold on, you said something. So for Eli, this stings worse because it's if the announcement was Davis Webb is starting this week, this is easier on Eli?
Yes.
Well, because they've invested a draft pick in him. You know that they have to see the guy. You know that Geno Smith is not better than you.
Okay. So then, all right. So remove the preface of that there. Would you have less of an issue with it? Both of you, you first, have less of an issue with it if it was Davis Webb?
Yeah. Without a doubt, and it would have been handled differently because
it's still got to be handled differently.
Without a doubt, because instead of saying, hey, Eli, we're just going to have you start to save face and not compete to try practicing this week to win football games like you've done every week for the last 14, we're just going to give you your start and then you're going to get pulled no matter what happens, regardless of whether your offense is clicking and you're leading them, you're coming out of the game anyways. So I love the fact because that's who Eli is. He's never cared about individual things. He's cared about winning and bringing championships to football teams. That's it. So for him to sit there and say that, people are like, wow. That's not wow. That's who Eli is. He doesn't care about that accolade. He's out there wanting to win football games. And if you're telling him you're only going to do it for a stopgap and we're going to put somebody else in regardless,
yes,
I'm completely satisfied and happy that he said that.
Is Eli playing somewhere else next season?
Well, I mean, that's the thing that we don't know.
Can he?
What's the future? He still has 2 years, no trade clause in his contract. We have no idea what the future holds.
No, he's going to play football.
He'll play football, and we just don't know if it's going to be with the Giants, which it could be, or anywhere else.
All right, David, stick around. Coming up.
McAdoo ain't going to be playing nowhere.
And the Cowboys still make the playoffs.
Gel in his hair somewhere.
Next.
Hey, I can't wait for somebody to mistreat you. Black Monday's coming for you, son.